Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Good morning on this hump day as we roll into another NFL weekend as the Bucs now look ahead to take on the Saints. The Rays get a win last night in Boston as they try to get ready for the postseason. We're going to look all around the NFL, college football. We got a great lineup for you today on the JP Peterson Show. Thank you so much for joining us each and every day. Leo Haggerty is going to join us at 10:45 with our USF report. And big win for USF this week. And then we will chat with Trevor Sikkema, formerly of the Pewter Report, Tampa Bay Trey. Will join us at 11 o'clock to break down some Buccaneer stuff in NFL, now working at PFF. And our good friend Corey Long, who we chatted with and sat with in the press box on Monday night, will join us to talk some Buccaneers and college football. So lots to get to. We got a great fun show here for you. You know what I watched last night? Good morning to you, Peter Blake. I watched every play of the Dolphins scoring 70 points against the Broncos. It's a very interesting game. It was actually a much more competitive game when you actually watch the game. The first half was actually pretty competitive. The Broncos actually cut it to 21-14 early in the second quarter, but had the touchdown taken off the board on a really crappy call. But golly, watching the Dolphins offense, holy crap, they are fast. That is the fastest offense I've ever seen. And Tua is just like a freaking surgeon, Yeah.
You touched on
a Weird Al song.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, he was really, really good. So I'm going to hit on a little bit of that. We'll talk some NFL. The Jets signed a quarterback not named Colin Kaepernick, and Jamel Hill's losing her mind. It's just so much fun, all of it, as we get to it. Of course, your comments will be on our right side of our page right here. So join us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on our app. Don't forget to download our new app. We got a new app, FanStream Sports. Download the new app so you can get the show that way. The old app is not working anymore. And we have new podcast links as well. So make sure you hit the new podcast link when you go to find your podcast. Because, yes, we are still doing shows. The old link is not being updated. The new link is being updated. So we got a lot of new stuff. Hope you guys are still sticking with us. Numbers look good. So away we go here today. Peter Blake, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Getting ready for this show to talk Rays last night as they nearly blew the lead. It blew a 7-0 lead. Somehow, some way, they come back and win. A lot of young players last night performing. You talked about the Colin Kaepernick stuff. I don't know what to make of that. The Bucs, according to J.C. Allen, are working on a veteran corner. William Jackson the third, I believe. Yeah, William Jackson the third working out. He had an injury last year. Ran a 4-4 sub. So does that mean Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis are not playing on Sunday? How do Bucs fans feel about that against the Saints, which is a big game? Is that foreshadowing on things to come at this point? So I'm ready to talk college football, too, with Leo and, of course, all our great guests here. You got Trevor and freaking Corey.
Yeah.
Man, we got a great guest list today.
Well, yeah, we're all about football season, brother. It's great stuff. So,
yeah.
And so let's jump right in. And I finished watching the Bucs tape last night. Haven't gotten to the all 22, but which will give me a much better feel for what's wrong with the running game. It's just I don't want to get too crazy off track because you just have to remember that this is an elite Eagles defense, and nobody's going to run on this defense. So I know a lot of people are freaking about Rachaad White and freaking out about this offensive line. I just look at that defensive line and those linebackers, and number one, they were really prepared for the Bucs running game. It's interesting when you watch Jalen Hurts, right? Go to the RPO and stick that ball in the belly of the running back. You freeze it. We'll look at the Bucs linebackers. You know what they're doing? They're taking steps backwards. Not to say that's not what they shouldn't be. They're taking steps backwards. They're thinking pass, okay? And that's part of the reason that when they did hand the ball off to DeAndre Swift, he was getting 12 yards a pop. So, and the linebacker play was just awful, especially Devin White. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. If you're that hurt, you should not be out there. You should not be out there. Having Devin White on the field, and they ran for over 200 yards, and that was all. I would say, I shouldn't say all, but I'd say 75% of that was because Devin White could not play. I mean, if he's on the field, you can't have a guy playing like that. I don't care how bad KJ Britt is or Russell. I don't care how bad the backups are. He couldn't make a play. He got blocked every single time. It was embarrassing. And I know he's nursing an injury, so I put this on Todd Bowles. You cannot have a guy out there that can't play, like cannot get off a block. I mean, he has trouble getting off blocks anyway, but this was really bad. He couldn't play. I don't know why. If you can't run over a quarterback on a pick six, get him out of there. Get him out of there. That was brutal. It was brutal. So that's number one. But from the Bucks running the ball standpoint, you look at their linebackers. When Baker's putting that ball in the belly of the running back, they're moving forward. They're up into the hole. They're already to the line of scrimmage. Like, they don't give a rip if he pulls it out or not. Like, there's no play action faking going on here. Either they knew, by the Bucks formations or by their predictability of running on first down, by the way one of the linemen is holding his hand or his foot or something. Those are always clues that we hear down the line, years after or games after. They knew when the Bucks were running the football. You could just tell by the way the linebackers were reacting. And that's a problem. That's a problem because you're going to have the best offensive line in the world. If the linebackers aren't, even waiting a quarter of a count to run to the hole, you're going to have a hard time running the football. I mean, you still got to block them up. They're should be accounted for in each and every run blocking scheme, but that was tough going. As we said, Rachaad White made a few bad cuts early on, but for the most part, there was not a whole lot of running room. There was not a whole lot of running room. And yes, the offensive line is young. They're learning. So, a couple of things. The Eagles are elite against the run. The Bucks, as we said, this was going to be a problem going into the game. The Bucks offensive line is still very much learning. Dave Canales has got to be better in play calling. We talked about him having to have an elite night play calling around this offensive line. Like, you got to find a way to take care of that. Either get the ball to the outside, which, they've tried to run interior way too much. The safety was just, what are we doing? There's 10 guys in the box. You bring in an extra lineman and you're handing the ball off deep in the backfield. And Rachaad White doesn't press the hole where he should have quickly enough. But all that said, that's a terrible call. And right now they're averaging over 8 yards a pass when they throw the ball on first down, and under 2.5 yards a carry when they run the ball on first down. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that you better throw the ball on first down, especially against the Eagles. And I think, like, almost exclusively, you got to do that. So,
I mean, you would think that coming into the whole game plan with the Eagles being susceptible to all the injuries, that would be the game plan, that you would throw the ball. Yeah. And again, you missed some plays in that game. We talked about Evans drops, and he even talked about it, how he felt like he should have caught the ball. And that's a game changer because it changes the momentum. But you would think that would be mostly the game plan. Of course, the pressure from the interior and the pressure from the line. And I got some Pro Football Focus grades for you. Top 5 offense: Wirfs 81.8, Godwin 79.1, Evans 78.9, Luke Gedeke surprisingly 62.7 at 4th, and Mayfield 60.2. Bottom 5 for the offense: Matt Filer 41.
He was bad,
really bad. The rookie 48.7 at right guard. O'Keefe 50.5. Otten 51.3, and Hansey 51.8, as we talked about before ad nauseum with this interior line.
Yeah,
they miss it. Okay, let's just face it. You lose Ali Marpet, you lose Ryan Jensen, you lose Alex Kappa, or even Aaron Stinney at that point at right guard. You're missing some snaps there. So again, it's a young line. Hansey started last year. Filer, you don't know because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now he's healthy, not performing well. And when you're banking on those players and they have those type of grades, you're going to get ran. And you did get ran by that defensive line of the Eagles.
And if I'm not mistaken, Nick Leverett graded out in the 70s last year.
I thought you were right. I think you're right about that. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, when do you start to make changes if you struggle? Let's say you struggle against the Saints, who, look, they're no slouch. They're a good defensive team, okay? They're a good defensive team. They're a challenge also in this division.
It took 7 games and an injury last year to get Luke Gedeke out of left guard and put Nick Leverett in, who graded 20 points higher than he did.
Right.
So I said this before the season. You can start Cody Monk at right guard. He's not your best guard. He's not. Stenny and Leverett are probably better, but you drafted this guy in the second round and you want to develop him. I get it, but let's just be honest. If you're a fan and you're looking for wins every week, the best offensive line we could put out there is not being put out there.
Well, it doesn't make any sense because if you're trying to win now,
and Nick Leverett's not like Nick Leverett's an older player,
right?
He's a younger player. He's just undrafted. Right. He doesn't have great pedigree, but the dude has some fight in him, and he gets the job done way better than these other guys. So,
it's about giving you the best chance to win. That's what I thought. If you're trying to win now, it's about the players who are going to give you the best chance to win, not trying to develop talent. I get it. You're trying to develop talent, but when you develop talent, there's going to be bumps in the road. And when those bumps in the road go to your quarterback and your offense and you're struggling offensively when it comes to the run game, which this is from Joe Bucks fan and care of Warren Sharp, percentages with 0 to fewer yards gained. The Bucks are 8th worst team in the league at 22%. The Lions are number 6 at 23%. Teams just below the Bucks at number 9, 21%.
What is this metric?
And this is this is from Warren Sharp.
Yeah.
And this is Buck struggling, 0 or fewer yards for an attempt.
For an attempt. Okay. Yes. All right. So 0 fewer yards on a rushing play.
Yes, correct. Baltimore, Cleveland, and Seattle, those 5 teams are combined 10-5. So it's not like, the Bucks are the only team that are having problems struggling. But it tells you something. This was a team that was last in the National Football League with running the ball, and they're still not getting it done. So is it the running back? Is it the chicken? Or is it the egg? Obviously, if you look at the Pro Football Focus numbers, it's the offensive line. So what are we talking about here, JP? If you have to make changes to the damn offensive line that gives you the best chance to win, you do that. And if you continue to struggle versus the Saints and the Lions and these other teams, you got to make some changes. You got to put that development, because if you're trying to win now, let's win now. If you're not going to win now, then play the players that you're going to play, and you're going to have the bumps in the road and the struggles on offense.
Well, what worries me is this Todd Bowles saying we're going to run the ball X percent of time. Mm-hmm. Like we're going to be 50-50, we're going to be 55-45, whatever and saying to Canales, this is how many runs I want per game. Because that doesn't work. Because now you're constricting a play caller into, a certain amount of carries and that's what you're doing is you're calling plays by quota instead of calling plays by what works together.
Yeah.
And what the defense is giving you. If you're not calling plays by what the defense is giving you, where the matchups say you should go, then that's not winning football. I understand, and we've talked about this. The first 2 weeks, it was winning football but it felt like the pass game and the run game were married together. Even though they weren't getting a lot of yards, they were getting key first downs and setting up other plays, right? Mm-hmm. Last game seemed like, okay, we're going to run the football. Hell be damned. We're going to run the football. And this many times. And it seemed disjointed. And that right now they're sitting at 2.4 yards per carry, which is one of the worst in the league right now. And, you can't continue. Listen, I don't want to be 741 passing attempts leading the league with Tom Brady last year. That's not where we need to be. But, pounding your head against the wall is not good. It's going to get a lot of people frustrated in a lot of different ways. Baker Mayfield can throw the football. You got some really good, talented receivers, but you're deficient in some places. All right. K. Dotton, listen, K. Dotton can't block. He can't block. He's not big enough. He doesn't have the ass. He can't block. And yet we're running 2 and 3 tight end sets. By the way, Keith can't block either. Mm-hmm. And that's about all he's good for. He's a nice young man and a really cool dude. I don't want to, hate on him personally, but his tape is awful. And if you're not an athletic pass catcher, then we can go find a lot of tight ends that can block that don't have to go out and catch passes. And I just, I don't see a lot there. I don't know what we're doing there. But whatever. I know the Payne Durham was inactive this week. Something needs to change there. Like
why?
Well, evidently he's not as good a blocker as Kiefer. Wow. If that's the case, I mean, if you're that big and that slow and you can't block, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
That's a problem. As I said earlier, the tight end room is the least impressive room on this Buccaneers team and has huge room for improvement. You draft Payne Durham, in the 4th or 5th round, and he's inactive already. And you've got, that's a problem. You can't, and just adding guys to the blocking mix is not going to help your running game. I got news for you. If this team's going to run, they need to spread it out, use their speed, and use the athleticism of these offensive linemen. Trying to bludgeon people off the line. You might get a little movement from the left side on a double team, but that's about it. So they've got to adjust this week and start calling plays and running plays that favor them in the matchups. I didn't see much of that against the Eagles because, first of all, there weren't a lot of matchups. The matchups were in the back end. The Eagles' secondary is their weakness. Their front 7 is their strength. Why you would try to run into the teeth of that front 7 boggles my mind. That's not your strength. So is what it is. All right. Other things Bucs related.
Well, we got some more news here from Aaron Wilson. Bucs are working out veteran corner Tay Hayes one day after he worked out for the Texans. So
yeah, they're looking for corner depth.
For corner depth, and that ain't
going to be a game changer, by the way. Every year, every team goes to find a couple corners off the street. These guys they're a dime a dozen. You hope that they're not exploited in the game, but they can, play some zone coverage and tackle somebody. You ain't finding any top corners out there. The Bucs corners that they're paying $35 million combined, Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. Can you guys please step up and play together and play well at some point? Injuries are injuries. I get it. But for God's sakes, this defense is going to be nothing. If you're paying 2 corners a combined $35 million a year and they can't answer the bell consistently, or when they're in the game, Jamel Dean, play well, he was terrible. And I mean terrible with a T, capital T. So, yeah, they got to be better. The players that are getting paid on this team, young players are going to struggle. Kaudu Mack's going to struggle. Gedeke's going to struggle. Mike Evans got to catch the damn ball. Mike, you want $25 million a year, Mike? Go catch the damn ball, especially in big situations. Jamel Dean covers somebody. Why is Jamel Dean 10 yards off on 3rd and 8 and backing up? If you're a $17 million a year corner, you better be in press man and stop somebody. Instead of, you want pay me $1 million. I can get 10 yards, start 10 yards off, let him catch an 8-yard hitch on 3rd and 6 and run past me. I can do that. Okay. You don't need to pay me $17 million a year to do that. For God's sakes, what the hell is that?
It's a Mike Smith defense. Mike Smith defense from the past.
The scheme, what are we doing on the scheme right there?
Right.
And I guess that's just, okay, Jamel's hurt. We don't want to get him deep. We'll give up the underneath stuff. Man, it's frustrating watching that tape, man. It's really frustrating watching that tape. Guys that are getting paid, Devin White, have got to be better, a lot better. I expect young players to struggle, but the guys that are getting paid, and the guys, not only the guys getting paid, but the 2 guys that want big deals, Mike Evans and Devin White, and Mike Evans may have graded out at 73, whatever. I don't know. But if I was grading him, it would have been a D- because you can't drop a touchdown pass. And you can't drop a first down pass at your own 41 yard line and when the defender falls down and you might even be able to score on that play. Those are huge plays in a game that big-time players have to step up. We love Mike, and Mike knows this. Mike said it after the game. I got to make those plays. Yep, you do. You absolutely do. So anyway, let me get to a couple of the Bucks comments here, by the way, before we move on, because there's a little bit of Wander news out there.
Well, yeah, I heard some rumors last night, so you don't know if you believe them or not. But
let me get these comments, and then we'll get to the Wander stuff.
Yeah.
It's not any credible reporting going on.
Of course,
I don't want to. And we're teasing it, so I don't want to tell you that there's some credible. There's internet noise, right?
Breaking news: Wander Franco has been. Yeah, no, there's nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
No.
Couple comments coming in, and thank you guys for jumping in here. RJ Martin, whether it happens or not. This is on the Wander thing. So let me. I'm going to go stick the Bucks here, and then we'll get back to this stuff. Jason Light drafting in the trenches since 2021 to now has been abysmal. JTS, Hall, Gedeke, Hainsey, Malk are all below average, so straight up bust like JTS. Bucks basement. Hard to argue.
I think it's.
I want to give these guys some chances, but Hainsey played okay last year. I'm wondering what the hell's wrong with him, because he's definitely regressed. I don't know if he's injured or what's going on, but he is regressed. I was expecting him to take a step forward this year. He's regressed. JTS, 3 games in, hasn't shown me much. Too light to set the edge. Doesn't have a lot of varied moves. Doesn't appear to be that guy's going to be a game changer for that high draft pick. Logan Hall, just a guy. Just a guy at this point. He hasn't shown me anything special. There was a play in the game. It was on the long pass to oh God, the kid from the Falcons, Zacchaeus. Yeah, where Jalen Hurts had all day. He's one-on-one. And when I tell you who is the right guard is a pretty good player. They're all pretty good with the Eagles. He's just like, they're dancing. Like they're just dancing. He can't get around him. It would be like me trying to get around him. He's just playing with him. Like, yeah, we're just playing with him. Like we can do this all day. You go to the right, it's like he wasn't even fighting to get to the quarterback. I know he was trying. I'm not saying he wasn't trying, but it's like it was so easy to keep him out. And it's just like, man, dude, you got to be, if you're that high a draft pick, you should be better. Gedeke, listen, I've never thought much of him. I think his pedigree is a 220-pound tight end coming out of high school who blows up in college a little bit and, plays for a small school. And I know he had a good week at the Senior Bowl, but he just looks overmatched to me. I don't think he's particularly athletic. I don't think he's particularly big. I just think he's just a guy. Certainly not a perennial Pro Bowler. He's certainly not a Kappa and certainly not an Ali Marpet. Not even close.
No.
Cody Mock, it's the jury is way out on him. He's three games into his NFL career. Let's not go crazy with that. But I think those are all first, second, third round draft picks. And I would say they're all below average starters in this league. They're below average and without, take Mock out of it, without a whole lot of upside. I don't see a ceiling there, a very high ceiling for any of those guys. So I would have to agree with for the most part. James says, Scott Reynolds says, and as soon as James says somebody else says, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. Sorry, buddy. Just you've proven me. You like to misstate people, but I'll go with this for the second. Might not have hurt to bench JTS or Rashad or also Bowles. Not calling T.O. timeout at the end of the game is concerning for the progress he supposedly made first 2 games, a big step back versus the Eagles. I would agree with that. I don't know what Scott Reynolds said. We'll put that up. But when he came on, when he talked about Devin White, and we know Devin White is a favorite, like a son. And that I think that's fair game to Todd Bowles is like, are you playing favorites here? Because, if you are, that ain't helping Devin White.
It's not going to help the locker room. I mean, we've seen this backfire, and we kind of think, sometimes that locker room, of course, they played favorites with Tom Brady, and he's the greatest of all time, right? But if players start to see that and they see how you treat the other players, then, of course, some of those guys are just going to basically say, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to zone out and just block out whatever coaching message is put out there.
Look, I want to, you want to give guys credit for balling. Like, if they're hurt, they're coming out there, they're giving you your best. And I want to give Devin White credit for that. And that, Devin has changed his attitude, and we've talked about that, and we're all Devin White fans.
Sure.
But, that tape don't lie. That was awful tape. That was awful tape, and it's the main reason that they ran for 201 yards, in my opinion. That you have linebacker, you have a linebacker that they're attacking on every play, and they're getting up to. I don't think there's one block that he defeated the entire game, not one. So if he was hurt that much, he shouldn't be out there. It's not helping your defense at all when the guy's either that hurt or that bad. It may be a tough pill to swallow, but if we have a losing season, Light needs to go just as much as Bowles does. His drafting, especially at the top of the draft since 2021, leaves a lot to be desired. Look, Tristan Wirfs ain't bad. Tristan Wirfs was a hell of a draft pick. I would have to defend Jason Light. You're not going to hit on all of them. But these ones that you've mentioned are whiffs. They're whiffs so far. They're not good picks. So it's overall, has Jason done a great job? Yes. He won us a Super Bowl. He got Bruce Arians to come here. He built a roster that Tom Brady wanted to play for. So we can nitpick these ones, and I know they're high draft picks. You're right. You're absolutely right. So these are not good picks at this point. So I think that's fair, but you got to look at the other stuff that he's done, and he deserves kudos for all of that stuff. Drafting has been a bit, especially along the lines, has been a bit of a challenge outside of Tristan Wirfs, which I would submit to you. Anybody's at that point with your need at left tackle on the board, right? He was the last one of the top 4 left. Am I right? Or the top 5?
Yes.
Andrew Thomas, Becton. There was a group of 4 or 5 that were all there, right?
Willis.
And Willis. Yeah. And all these idiots passed on Tristan Wirfs and took somebody else. So, I mean, yes. Well,
and that
Jason was smart enough to pick the last tackle left and had a huge need. I mean, let's not go crazy. He didn't pick a diamond in the rough here. So he gets credit for taking Tristan Wirfs. He gets credit for him. Right. Whatever I think he even moved up to get him. So let's give him credit for that.
Yes.
But he's got to wear these other ones. He's got to wear them, and not like they were top 5 picks though, or top 10 picks. These are second rounders, end of first round, guys. So,
well, in that same draft, you got Antoine Winfield Jr. That's worked out. Carlton Davis, that has worked out. Jamel Dean, that has worked out. Sean Murphy Bunting when he was here. I mean, Devin White, he's had some moves there, and then on free agency, getting
Mike Evans,
getting
his first draft. I mean, you get credit for drafting a Hall of Famer.
Godwin,
right?
I mean, come on.
Yeah, Godwin in the 3rd round.
So let me get this straight. The Glazers are not only going to, and this is what I love about some Bucs fans out there. Let's just clean house. Let's get rid of Jason Light. Let's get rid of Todd Bowles. Let's start all over again, guys. Let's do that. Or you think the Glazers actually have confidence in Jason Light and they'll stick with him because why? He built not only a competitive team for consecutive years, but once again, a Super Bowl team with guys that he drafted and also on free agency.
And by the way, not calling timeouts. Why? Dude, you got a beat up team. You weren't winning that game. The Eagles, as I look at that tape, the Eagles could have run the ball every single play for 10 yards a pop. The fact they ever threw the passes that they did, I think was more to work on their offense. That's how much they were toying with us. Let's just be honest. Todd Bowles knows a game that's lost. And to call timeouts there is just asking for more guys to get hurt. So I'm going to disagree with you there. You're getting beat up physically by a team that's just owning your ass. Get the hell out of there and go home. You weren't winning that football game. You were never winning that football game. That thing was way closer than that. That football game was more lopsided than the Dolphins game that I watched last night. So scores can be very, very misleading. The Bucs never had a chance to. I mean, it would have been nice for them to make some of those plays, but what were the Eagles 1 for 5 inside the red zone? That score should have been 45-11. They were never winning that game. So no, I'm not hitting Todd Bowles for not calling timeouts. Lonnie Wilkins said, didn't Mike Evans storm off into the tunnel immediately once the game ended like a diva? These dudes want their money and love the city, but then pout and tuck their tail. I didn't see that, Lonnie. I saw him. I think he was pissed at himself. I think he was really pissed at himself for the 3 drops. I do personally by his demeanor in the locker room. I wasn't there this time because I felt a little ill, had to go home. Maybe it was watching the game. Did you, Peter? You were setting up the post game show, but from what I heard, Mike was very conciliatory and wore those drops. He wasn't happy about his touchdown or his one-handed catch. He was like, "Nah, I got to make those plays." So I don't think that was. And Mike's never acted like a diva, Lonnie. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, buddy.
No.
Who have better chance this week, Jameis or Baker? I haven't really jumped into the pre yet. I did watch a little bit of Jameis last night, and he looked okay. Had a really big throw down the sideline to set up the game-winning field goal that Groupie missed. So, and those missed kicks, man, changed the narrative tremendously. Jameis had training wheels on once he came into the game. They weren't letting him do a lot of stuff. Protection wasn't great. But he did go 4 for 6 on that final drive and get him in position for a 46-yard field goal in the NFL. That's supposed to be good enough for a game winner, right? And Groupie missed it. So I think Jameis is ready. Jameis will his whole issue will be being too amped up for this game, and we've seen that a lot of times. So, but I'll get back to you on who has the edge there. I haven't lost faith in Baker, although he did not have a great game. I agree with Buck and Aikman. Paging Mike Allstott, please report to the sideline. Yeah. I was watching some old Allstott tape the other day.
Oh.
I forgot how fast he was.
He was fast. He was nimble.
Fast. He had some sweet feet.
If he's in Pittsburgh or with the Chicago Bears, he's a Hall of Famer as a feature back because they're going to feature him. Because you remember, he shared carries of work done, which wasn't a bad thing. But again, he was a feature back. If he gets featured from the Steelers and the Bears, more than likely we're talking about a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
See Jerome Bettis? Every bit.
Yes.
Every bit. I mean,
might be better.
Catch the ball, could run the ball, had great feet, could block. Hell of a lead blocker, too, by the way. Hell of a lead blocker. Yes, James, I know he was on my show yesterday. I thought you were talking about something else, but I think Bowles, I think he may be playing favorites with some of those guys. Or, he's being told by upper management to play him. You got to play him. There's a lot that happens in every organization, by the way, unless it's a Belichick or a Tomlin or a well-established head coach. Upper management, the GM's office is telling you who to play and when to play him. Yes, Lonnie, I did see the Cubs choke away a game yesterday. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little Rays, and then we got Leo Haggerty coming up. We'll give you a little update on this Wander Franco stuff. Again, this is no credible sources. It's just a little internet traffic, which is where all stories start these days, by the way. So that's why we keep an eye on it, right? Yeah. So we'll talk on that. Rays last night. We'll hear from Kevin Cash. There was some good news last night. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Firm, Jeeves Law Firm, lawgroup.com. Go to their website. And Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're looking to lose weight or get your testosterone right, Chris Lugo, otherwise known as Stanley Tucci, will be your man. BAMMC.com. Stay with us. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity.
at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
So you're experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had. It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we move on here to some Rays talk. They get a big win last night, up 7-0. Did you see the lineup, by the way?
Yeah, I saw the lineup. A bunch of no-name guys, bunch of younger players. But some of those guys came through last night in big ways.
Aranda, I think half the starting lineup wasn't even on the team at the beginning of the season. Aranda, Caminero at second. Meade was in the lineup. Tapia.
Well,
it's a nice dish when you do it with the little red, little béarnaise sauce. The tapia is really nice. But, I haven't even seen him play. I was watching a little bit last night. He starts with his right foot outside the batter's box as a left-handed hitter. Okay. It's going to be hard to reach the outside corner there, partner, but whatever. So they get up 7-0 last night. Pinto hit a 2-run homer. He's been a nice surprise down the stretch, right?
Absolutely.
Aranda with 3 hits, as I mentioned. Look, they gotta get something out of him. He's just been completely overmatched at the major league level with the fastball. Hopefully, some good things are starting to happen for him, but they're going to need him in the postseason, especially with Brandon Lau down. Not a whole lot of left-handed bats there. And Margot had 4 hits last night, so that's good. But then they give up. Eflin gives up a 3-run homer. They blow the 7-0 lead, but they come back and win 9-7. and Fairbanks was perfect in the ninth in
Thank God for that.
cold weather too.
Yeah, in cold weather, but thank God for Fairbanks because he just had a meltdown the last time he pitched, and Eflin had a blister issue, or most likely he would have pitched through. He was, one mistake there, and they're going to need him to pitch better than what he's done. So hopefully that blister thing, because it seems like this Rays team is snake bitten when it comes to injuries. Hopefully that gets corrected because you can't afford another freaking injury at this point.
Right. So anyway, there was some internet traffic last night that Wander Franco might be coming back. Evidently, I think he, I guess his Twitter account has been suspended. So people were talking about him doing some stuff on Twitter last night, or maybe it was probably on Instagram because his Twitter account's been suspended. And he was commenting on some Jose Siri stuff and had put his pictures back on his Instagram in a Rays uniform. So for whatever that's worth, right? That means nothing. We're not reporting anything here, but there's a little bit of internet traffic out there as vis-a-vis Wander Franco. The question is, if you're the Rays, would you put him on the postseason roster? I mean, he hasn't played in a month and a half, but you're so beat up. I mean,
at this point, if you have all these injuries and he's been found to not do anything at all illegally, and he's cleared.
Yeah,
I mean, what are your choices at this point? Taylor Walls, who's not even hitting below the Mendoza line at this point. I mean, he gets a good defense to a certain degree, but can you imagine Caminero and Wander Franco in that lineup together?
It could be interesting.
Yeah,
let's just be honest.
Yeah.
You got no left-handed bats. You got very little offense heading into the postseason. He's, according to the WAR statistics, still your best player. When he's, in August or right before he got suspended, he was probably one of the top 10 players in the league. So can you sit there and say you don't want that guy back in your lineup? And if there's been an investigation done, and nobody knows, folks, nobody knows what the hell went down here. Right. Nobody knows. Was this an extortion attempt? Well, the woman, allegedly, one of the women admitted to that extortion attempt. So we know there's some of that going on. We know that but we also know the Rays were not very happy with the way he was treating his teammates and some other things too. So in this case, I don't think any of us have enough information to really know what the inner workings of putting him back in that dressing room, that locker room would be. So, you kind of got to leave it up to the organization. But just from a pure baseball standpoint, if you're going to do anything in the postseason and that guy's available and you're paying him,
why not? I mean, again, does it upset the locker room?
Innocent until proven guilty, right?
Right. Does it upset the clubhouse at the end of the day? And again, you have injuries to Randy. You're trying to get him healthy. You have injuries to Brandon Lau, which doesn't. You're already missing, Jose Siri. So yeah, you need something in that lineup if you're gonna do anything in this wild card round and get to play Baltimore. So is it a bad optic? Again, if he's found not guilty of it,
what do we know?
Right, right, exactly. So,
okay, some of the folks are in the comments. Of course, you put Wander on the postseason roster if he's innocent.
JP8920. There you go. So,
I mean, I think there's a little bit of debate that needs to go on. I mean, but we define innocent, right? But that's the thing. We don't know. Right. We don't know what the Rays know. Of course, I don't trust the Rays as an organization anyway, but in the higher levels, baseball people know what the hell they're doing, obviously. So who knows? But I don't know. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know what the temperature of the locker room is vis-a-vis Wander Franco. I know he's had issues with a lot of guys. We know that. So is there a chemistry issue if you put him back in that locker room for the postseason run, or do they welcome him back? I don't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know that, and I'm not sure the fans do either. So I think it's a little bit. To make championship run, yes. Yeah. I mean, from a pure baseball standpoint, yeah, of course, duh. I get that. I mean, as he says, he's the best player on the team. I get that. But is that all there is to it? Is there all there is to it? Like, you ask me from a football standpoint, if AB wanted to come back and play for the Buccaneers and he was in tip-top shape, would I want him to come back? Hell effing no.
No.
I didn't want him back at all, ever. No, there's more to it than just can you play? At least in football anyway. I know baseball's a little bit different, right? There's a lot less teamwork going on. So, yeah. Lonnie Wilkins says absolutely put him on the roster and embrace the heel turn. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a heel turn if he's not guilty. I mean, we're acting like he's Deshaun Watson, and you don't even know. I mean, I don't know, man. I go back and forth on it, honestly, because exonerated exactly if he's exonerated. But I mean, do we think that Major League Baseball has done enough investigating at this point? Do we believe? I don't necessarily. I don't know if I buy this or not. I don't know if I buy this rumor. I think somebody's just trying to throw it out there.
Yeah. Bet Rays set him out for punishment. I think they're trying to say there. Like, clearly the organization is not in his corner. I mean, let's not be silly about that. All right, let's flip over to our USF report. And our good friend Leo Haggerty joining us here, who covers the South Florida Bulls. And hey, what do you know? They got a conference win for the first time since Jim Levitt was a baby. It's been a while, my man. It was good to see the boys get the win.
You know what, JP? They won't admit this, but that was a must win. After their showing against Alabama, They had to come out, and they had to come out and win. And I'll tell you what, this was the quick strike offense we were hoping to see that Golish brought from Tennessee. 3 drives, scoring under 2 minutes. That's phenomenal.
It is definitely phenomenal, and it certainly seems like Byron Brown and Naeem Simmons have developed some chemistry now. Simmons, the leading USF wide receiver in their history with that performance on Saturday, 272 yards receiving. Talk about those two.
You know what? Brown goes 22 of 29, 435 yards, 2 TDs. But I'll tell you what, here's what we found out about Golish. When he finds a weakness, he goes after it with a passion. It was bombs away. Think about it. They averaged 13 yards a pass attempt. That's phenomenal at that level. So, yeah, it was like, okay, go deep, keep going deep, because they can't stop it. We'll just keep going deep.
Yeah, I love the resiliency of this team in this particular game, Leo, because I've seen this team, something bad happened to them over the past 3 or 4 years, and it's like, okay, we're done. We're USF. We quit. You go ahead, just march right over us. And that was not what I saw against Alabama. Is not what I saw against, and certainly in this game against Rice. They kept bouncing back like a rubber ball. Like, okay, we gave it up. Let's get it back. Let's get it back. I love their resiliency of this team. Your thoughts?
You know what, JP? You're exactly right. That 80-yard touchdown last year, that would have destroyed that defense. They would have said, okay, let's pack it in. It's another loss. But you know what? The defense played well when it had to. They got 2 3-and-outs after with those quick scoring drives, got the offense back on the field. Yeah, it wasn't a stellar performance, but take away the last score. That was a gift. Just go ahead. We're just going to eat clock because the game's over. But you know what? They played defense, and they came up with plays when they needed to. And another big thing is, hey, no interceptions. That's a big plus.
Yeah, for as many times. How many times they throw the ball?
29.
That's it?
Yeah. It seemed like they were throwing it a lot more because they were just going for big gains.
Yeah, they were. And talk about chunk plays, but that offense looked fantastic, and it looks like they're developing some receivers on the outside. Talk a little bit about Naeem and some of the other guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they're starting to get a chemistry. And think about it. Naeem targeted 8 times, made 8 receptions. I mean, they didn't miss a trick with him. And the other guys are coming on just as strong. It's just a matter of figuring out who's 1 and 2. Let's figure. I think Simmons has definitely become the number 1 guy. that defenses are going to have to keep an eye on. So who's going to be that complementary guy on the other side? That's what's going to have to come down to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, I like Coach Golish and the way he's coaching up these players, even when it looked like it was decided, which it was. They're winning the game there late in the fourth quarter. He's absolutely chewing out one of his players. So what do you get from Coach Golish? Because a lot of people said when USF hired him, he was the closest thing to Jim Leavitt. Do you sense that?
I don't know if that'd be a good thing or a bad thing, whatever, but yeah, there's no doubt who's running the ship. That's for sure. And you know what? He's going to coach you for 60 minutes. He doesn't care what the score is. So if you do something right, he's going to pat you on the back, give you a cookie. If you do something wrong, he's going to take away that cookie. He's going to yell at you. You know what? If you can't handle that, can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
All right, Leo. So I'm watching the game on TV, and of course, all they show is the opposing sideline, right, in terms of the crowd. And it looked, like empty would be unfair to an empty bucket. So I couldn't see the home side. I couldn't see what the attendance was. But that was, I've said this a lot. You got to create an atmosphere before you're going to get good players. And that did not look good in a conference game like that. They got 2 road games now. They're at Navy and at UAB, and then they'll come home against FAU and Tom Herman, right? So just a little thoughts on the support, what we saw. They seemed like they deserve better. What did it look like on the home side?
You know what, Peter? You could be a better judge of that than I could, because it wasn't what you would expect. But again, the biggest thing is you think when you win, they will come. That has never been the case with USF. I don't know why. Even when Willie was there, when Strong was there, they were winning. They couldn't draw flies. And I don't understand why. When you got a school of 44,000, you should have 20,000 students there every game. Peter, what do you see?
I mean, it was not a packed crowd. It definitely was not like Alabama. Of course, it was not to be expected, but a lot of empty seats there. Disappointing to say the least. But again, USF is a program in transition right now, trying to find that foundation. With that being said, did you learn from Coach Golish why this defense is giving up so many big plays? I get it. You have Luke McCaffrey, but too many big plays there in that first half and also in the second.
Yeah, there were too many splash plays, and we'll talk to Coach Orlando at 11:20 and find out, what the story was. The problem with defense in the NCAA today is every rule favors the offense. Mm-hmm. So, you're going to give up points. I mean, think of Utah and UCLA with 14-7. That's unheard of anymore. Usually it's, 42-35, whatever. Notre Dame, 17-14 with Ohio State. That's surprising. And you know what? Notre Dame playing with 10 guys. That's another fact of matter. I guess they thought Touchdown Jesus was the 11th guy, but that didn't work, did it?
No.
But Peter, JP, we got to get out of the mentality that you're going to hold a team to 7, 10, 14 points. That's going to be a rarity in the NCAA now.
Hold them for 24. That's a good defensive day.
Yeah. Exactly. You can keep the team in the 20s. You should win football games.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. But it seems like this defense has got some players now that you mentioned the 3 and outs. They got some turnovers. What's been the biggest difference? Just the transfers that they got coming in. They got some bigger guys, some more athletic players on defense.
JP, you hit the nail on the head. They finally got size up front, and they got length on the edges. They got some 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys playing that edge rush position. And I'll tell you what, it makes a whole lot of difference when you're playing defense in coverage, when you're getting a pass rush. They're holding their own against the run, which I never thought I would say against Alabama, but they did, and they did the same thing here. Rice had 1 yard rushing. Think about that. They became one-dimensional. When you can make a team one-dimensional, and here comes the pass rush, it's a whole different ballgame on defense.
All right, Leo. So they got Navy this week up in beautiful Annapolis. Great place to watch a football game, by the way. If you've never been up there, that is
really.
I guess they're playing there. Sometimes they play in other places, but
no, they're in Annapolis, right on the water, right, JP?
Yeah, it is one of the most beautiful stadiums you'll ever go to, especially now with the leaves changing. Oh, If you're going to go to an away game this year, folks, go to this one and not Birmingham next week. Choose Annapolis over Birmingham any day of the week because it's an idyllic setting. But, they got to build on this, man, right? They got to go out and score some points and try to keep Navy off the scoreboard. Talk a little bit about this game coming up.
Boy, I'll tell you what. This is going to be a trap game for USF like no other trap game. You're going to play Navy. You're going to play a team that runs a whole different dynamic on offense. You're going to have to try and get them off the field because Navy wants to play hide and seek with the football. They want to go on 10, 12, 14, 16 play drives, eat up 8, 9 minutes of the clock, keep your offense off the field. It's going to be imperative that USF gets the lead early. Make Navy play their game. Because if Navy gets up 7 to 10 points, hey, it's like playing Wisconsin in basketball. You're up 6, you're really down 12 because they play so slow and so deliberate. Navy's the same way. You got to do that. On defense, Navy, you got to take advantage of your size now. The Naval Academy can only recruit certain size and certain weight players. So take advantage of that. I think you'll see the running game play more into effect now, and then the play action passes down the road.
Interesting. I did not know that about Navy. All right. Give us where your content can be found, my friend, and tell everybody where Amped Up Sports and all that is.
Well, take a look for us on Twitter at Amped Up Sports 1. You can go to our website, ampedupsports.com. I post my Leo's screaming from the cheap seats every day. I have my NCAA wild games, my NFL wild games, and I'll tell you what, JP, Florida State came through for you. That was big.
They did. Big win for FSU. Covered the spread nicely as well. Yes, they that was a huge win for them. Played what I thought was their C+, B- game, and still got a huge win at Clemson. Thanks to some bonehead calls by Clemson. But, hey, final score is all you need. So now they're 4-0, got a week off and a chance to lick their wounds a little bit, get healthy, and get ready for what could be a very, very fun season for them the rest of the way. So, yeah, congrats to my Noles. All right, Leo, we'll catch up with you next week, hopefully after a second straight win for South Florida.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And you know what, JP? We may want to talk about the ACC and the Pac-12 being the two strongest conferences in the country right now.
I think you would be spot on, my friend. Definitely the Pac-12. Ain't no doubt about that for sure.
Big-time quarterbacks out there, that's for sure.
Oh, my God, yes. Hell yeah.
And a kid from Tampa, I'll tell you, Michael Penix is worth watching, believe me.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. Could be the Heisman Trophy winner. We could have another Heisman residing in Tampa.
Wow. That'd be nice. All right, guys, you have a great show.
Thank you. And everybody's saying, well, what's the other one, JP? Well, unfortunately, he has passed. But Hopalong Cassidy was a longtime Davis Island resident, right across the street from my home on Davis Island.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. Something new every day. How about that?
Oh. Heisman Trophy right there in his house. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, quick break. When we come back, Tampa Bay Trevor Sycamore will join us, lead draft analyst for PFF. We'll ask him about Jason Light's draft grades over the last few years. He'll definitely have an opinion. So that and more when we come back here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us.
Coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Fitz, the mortgage guy, did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group and the folks at the Patio. We were just at the Patio Monday night. Great party there. Big crowd they had for the Monday Night Football game, Bucks and Eagles. We will be back this Monday from 5 to 7, so come join us on our remote, brought to you by White Claw, $4 White Claw seltzers, and $4 White Claw vodkas. So come on out and join us at the Patio. And for any time you go watch football in South Tampa, that is the place to go. The Patio, unique and fun place to watch football games. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Tampa Bay Trevor Sigma, lead draft analyst at Pro Football Focus. What's up, Trevor? How are you?
I'm doing great, JP. Appreciate you having me on, as always, my friend.
Yeah, listen, I was perusing your Twitter, and you talk about thorough. That little retweet you had on the astrological pairing of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift was outstanding. I sent it to my girlfriend. She will absolutely eat that up. So as a draft analyst, do you think this is a good draft pick for him and her?
Listen, it's going to go one of two ways for Travis Kelce. Either he's going to truly ascend to, no question about it, the greatest tight end to ever play the game, or it's completely going to crash and burn, and the man's about to go on a free fall. I have no idea where it's going to land. So maybe those astrology charts will tell us, give us a hint one way or the other.
Oh, I just can't wait for the album. That's all and when it all goes to hell.
The breakup. The breakup is coming. And then the controversy with the brother. We need the drama storyline there. Because she grew up as an Eagle fan. That's what we found out. So the brother will be next there. That makes for good podcasting, right, Trevor?
Absolutely.
Look, I'm a fan of love, so I'm hoping, it lasts till the end of time, of course. But, if they end up splitting up at any point, I just want to know, does it get to the point where she starts dropping lines in the songs about
Yes.
Like, does she put a Mahomes reference in there? Because that would just be, that would be next level stuff.
I'm here for it, too. Yeah, and the album's going to be called Trailer Trash. That's the name of it. Because their combo name is Trailer, right? So it's going to be called Trailer Trash. I'm here for it. I'm a big Swiftie. Me and my daughter are big Swifties. So, I think she's a little bit more, shall I say, humanly evolved than Travis. So I don't know how this is going to work out, but I wish them the best. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the Bucs. What's your overall thoughts on what you've seen for the first 3 weeks?
Honestly, it's kind of standard for what I thought this team was going to be going into the season. You know, you looked at this roster and there were a lot of people who were saying, hey, the Bucs are going to be a team that's going to get a top 5 draft pick. And, you know, I still think the range for where Tampa's going to end up is somewhere between pick 5 and pick 15. But, you know, for a lot of people who were expecting Tampa to make a running for the number 1 overall pick, you know, the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, if you will, it just wasn't going to happen. Like, the team's too good for that. We saw in the first 2 weeks that if Tampa goes up against opponents, of course, and this is all with the caveat of when they're fully healthy, you know, when they go up against opponents that are going to fill the stat sheet with turnovers or cannot execute, like, Tampa's got a good enough roster to beat those teams. And that's what's going to happen, I think, throughout the course of the season. But then you go to this Philadelphia game, and of course, losing Carlton Davis, I mean, that's a massive loss for this team in particular. And so that hurt them, no doubt about it. But Philly's better. I mean, they're the better football team. They're the better roster. They're at a different spot as an organization. And so, yeah, Tampa probably was not going to win this game unless everything went wrong for Philadelphia. So, honestly, 3 games in, especially looking at how all 3 of those games played out, it feels this is kind of what we thought Tampa was going to be this year as a middle-of-the-pack team.
You know, Trevor, when I looked, and I know you look at these things through a draft analyst viewpoint, which is great because it really talks to the rosters that are there. And it's why I thought going into this game, the Bucs had no chance. Their offensive line against that defensive front of the Eagles, which I think is maybe end up being historic, between Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. How they got him, I have no idea. Hassan Reddick, the whole group. I mean, it is a devastating front seven. It was a horrible matchup, and the Bucs thought they could run the ball at them. I don't know what they thought there, but just in terms of looking at how they've drafted up front and how the Bucs have drafted up front on the offensive line, there was a decided advantage to the Eagles in this game. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And I don't know how much Tampa could have really done differently. You know, you look back 2 years ago, and this offensive line, certainly I'm basically saying before the Marpet retiring and before Al Cappa left, you know, you the offensive line. And, you know, I think Donovan Smith, when he was in Tampa Bay, he got a lot of flack. But if Donovan Smith's your worst offensive lineman of your 5, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, so true.
At this point in time, when Smith, Tristan Wirfs, Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, Ali Marpet, like that 5 is a really solid 5. All of a sudden, they lose Kappa to free agency. Okay. Ali Marpet retires pretty surprisingly. And then Ryan Jensen has an injury that's probably going to be career ending. I hope it's not, but it sounds like it is at this point.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, the work that you did to build the offensive line, of course, then Donovan Smith leaves in free agency. It's completely in a different spot than where it was for Philadelphia. And so you are right. I think a major issue with this team in identity is they want to be very balanced. They want to run the football. They don't want to become one-dimensional, mainly because you don't want to lean on Baker Mayfield that much anyways. But they don't have the blockers up front to run the ball the way they need to. And I think that you see that in everything. I mean, I'm looking at our PFF grades right now, and without question, the 3 lowest graded guys on the offensive line are the 3 interior offensive linemen, and their worst graded categories right now are run blocking. And you see that with the lack of space, the lack of production from Rachaad White. And there's not really anything anybody could do back there because that offensive line just is not where it needs to be. It was burned hard 2 years ago when those guys left. It was burned again here when Ryan Jensen got hurt. And they're just kind of having to take it and swallow it, if you will. And that's just kind of the way that they're going about it right now.
Trevor, you talk about the running game there and, of course, the interior offensive line because we talked about it ad nauseum, how it was a bad matchup versus the Eagles. But are you concerned with seeing Rachaad White run the ball? Because, you know, we've seen it. He seems like he's very patient, much like Le'Veon Bell. That's what he wants to be compared to. But in your opinion, is he a little bit too patient? Is he not hitting the hole quick enough, in your opinion?
I don't know. It's really hard to judge Rachaad White. It really is, because it's just all about those guys up front. And that's why, you know, when we approach the draft philosophy, and I know PFF is kind of I don't know, maybe fortunately and unfortunately been the champion of the whole like running backs don't matter. You don't draft running backs kind of
right.
It's kind of gotten off the rails as people have taken that principle and kind of manipulated it a little bit. But the reason why you don't take running backs high generally in the draft is because not only are there a lot of running backs that you could go out and get that are very talented, but if you don't win up front, it doesn't really matter. You could have some of the most talented backs in the league. And if you cannot win up front, there are just so very few players that can overcome that. And Tampa's at a point where it's not like one offensive lineman's playing poorly for them right now. It is a struggle, I think, as a unit for them to be able to move the line of scrimmage the way they need to. So getting back to Rachaad White, it's hard to really hold too much against him because, one, he's a young player, right? He's getting to be a full-time starter for the first time, and I think you need to take that into account as well. And two, he's running behind an offensive line that holes aren't open. And so he's trying to be patient. He's trying to see things the right way, but until that offensive line gets fixed, it's going to be really hard to judge Rachaad White appropriately.
Trevor Sikkema joining us here, lead draft analyst for PFF. Yeah, somebody put in our comments and said, Jason Light, let's look at these picks. JTS, Logan Hall, Gedeke, Mauk, Hainsey, all those guys playing. I mean, they're I think most of their Hainsey, I believe, was third round. JTS and Logan Hall were 31, 32, 33 overall in that area. Mauk was a high second round pick. I think the jury's still way out on him. Gedeke, I've never been a huge fan. I know he's still young, obviously, but where would you put Jason Light's grades on that group that was playing the other night?
Yeah, it's you kind of got to take some context into it too, because you look at Hainsey and you say, okay, at the time I really loved the Hainsey pick, and I still do, given where it was picked. This is the third round pick in 2021, right? You're coming off a year when the offensive line was solidified, right? They're coming off a whole year. They already have their starting five. So they draft Robert Hainsey because he's a very experienced potential swing guy who can play center, who could play interior, who could even play tackle for you. So I liked the pick at the time. It made sense. But then a year later, when two of those guys drop out and then the next guy gets hurt, well, all of a sudden, boom, this guy's got to be a starter, no questions asked. I think Luke Gedeke's the same way. I think they drafted Gedeke and they were saying, man, we would like for him to probably sit a year or two before we got to start him right away. And then unfortunately he had to start on the interior. Now he's starting to tackle. And so I think for those guys specifically, you mentioned Mauk, it's too early to tell with him. And I think he's going to be fine. But both of those offensive line picks, I know people look at him and be like, man, Jason didn't do a good job with that one. Well, certainly given the context of when they were drafted, I think they were fine. Unfortunately, they've just been thrust into situations earlier than they needed to be. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, we're still waiting for JTS to really break out. And I was really excited about him. I thought that they got a steal at the back end of the first round in 2021. And he just has not been able to become that consistent backfield producer for them. And I think Logan Hall is the same way. I think Logan Hall is fine. People look at Logan Hall and say like, hey, he's another like William Golston type. And okay, I could understand where you're coming from there. And William Golston has been valuable to this franchise, but not at pick 33. You're hoping to get somebody who's got a lot higher ceiling and is producing a lot more for you than what you're hoping to become as a William Golston type of player. So that one obviously hasn't worked out too well. Still time for JTS, but man, I mean, this has got to be the year for him, or else I'm really afraid that he's just going to kind of get lost.
Trevor Sikkema joining us here, PFF draft analyst. A lot of people are going to talk about. We haven't even seen Kalijah Kancey yet, right? And I think he's a fantastic draft pick. I'm pretty sure you liked him as well. That's a guy that could have really helped out in this particular game as well. So I think the Bucs have paid attention to both sides of the line of scrimmage, but I think your context, if some of these guys have played early and we still don't know, what they're going to be, is probably putting it in the best context. But missing Kalijah Kancey is hurting this team. You would agree?
100%. I mean, this is a team that's still looking for their major difference makers, I think, on both sides of the ball. And when I say that, I don't mean that as any slight to Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett, who are both fantastic. But as we saw with the Philadelphia Eagles, not just this past week, but over the last year, it takes an army. You don't just need two pass rushers, two good defensive linemen. You need four good defensive linemen. And in fact, you probably need a 6-man deep rotation of guys that you can go to in different formations. So I think Kancey will fit in well to that. I like Kancey a decent amount. I'm worried about the size, but I won't hold that against him until I see him in regular season competition because, man, his tape was fun as hell. So I'll give him that. I'm excited about Yaya Diaby as well and what he can become. Dennis at linebacker, I think, honestly, it could be a big-time steal for them. I'm hoping he gets healthy so we really get to see a full year of him as a rookie there. But, and when you just look at their trenches in general, offensive and defensive line, it kind of hints to this team being closer to a rebuild than a winning window. Now, again, going back to the top of the show, I'm not going to say that this team's going to be a pushover because they certainly aren't. When the secondary is fully healthy, they've got some dogs. Of course, Levante David and Devin White, right? The receivers are fantastic. But JP, you know this. Everybody knows this. Football is won and lost in the trenches. It is won and lost up front. And until you have solidified good play from both trenches, I cannot officially call a team a winning window type of a team. So that's what puts Tampa in an interesting spot to where, let's say Baker Mayfield plays decently well, maybe enough to get another contract with him, maybe something like a 3-year deal. Are you comfortable enough with where your trenches are and will be going during that 3-year contract window for a guy that you're going to pay a decent chunk of change to justify it? And I think that's the long-term question that needs to be answered with Tampa because there is still work to be done in the trenches. And until you really shore those up, is signing a guy, a quarterback, to even like a 2-3 year mini deal that you want to be doing.
Trevor, what do you make of the play calling by Dave Canales? Because the first 2 games, pretty good, I think. And then against Philly, and I get it, Philly's talented, but I cannot make any sense of that call in your own end zone, running the ball when you got 10 man in the box trying to stop the run, and you still run the ball. And, of course, it leads to a safety.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember here is that just because you're not perfect doesn't mean you're not a good play caller. And I think, again, context to Dave Canales is important here because I really like what I have heard and seen from Canales, even going back into the preseason. I think that he's going to go through some of his learning pains as a first-time play caller here. I think that obviously going for a safety is probably one that he would like to have back. I think people look at the first down run rate versus how often they should probably pass in the football, and they go, well, okay, he should be better in that area. And I agree, but you also got to know that Todd Bowles, he's going to have his hand in this too, right? I think that the Bucs are just going to be a really balanced football team, or at least they're going to shoot for it. And even if the run game's not working and the offensive line isn't what it needs to be, I think they're going to be close to 50-50 just as a philosophy for a team. So it's hard to hold that totally against him because I don't know if that's exactly what he would want to do or not. It feels as though they really want to be a balanced offense, and maybe he does. But again, you don't really have the horses at this point in the offensive trenches to truly judge him too harshly, I would say. You go back to this past Monday's game against the Eagles, he's got Baker Mayfield playing real confident, man. And I think that is something that people should absolutely take into account. This is a guy who has been on how many different teams now? 4 different teams. Baker Mayfield, he comes in, first-time play caller. They're able to have a lot of chemistry and a lot of confidence. Mike Evans doesn't drop a couple of those passes early on, and maybe the scoreboard's a little bit different, right? And so I think that I have still been encouraged by Canales. I know it's not perfect. The offense itself isn't perfect, but honestly, I still have faith in him and think that they got a good one.
All right, Trevor, great stuff as always, my friend. Really appreciate you jumping on. We hope to have you on more. Love the information. Tell everybody where they can get your content, obviously on Twitter at Tampa Bay Trey.
Yeah, of course, guys. Everything over at pff.com. Anybody out there listening, whether you're a Bucs fan or any other fan, if you are looking to get one eye on the 2024 NFL draft, just see, who might be available, what the class looks like. We got you covered. PFF.com. Go to the draft tab. We're updating the big board all the time. We got a mock draft simulator where you can do your own mock drafts and see who might be available for your team, man. We're already cranking all that good stuff out, and it's only going to get better as the season goes on. So appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. All right, we will jump into a break here. When we come back, Corey Long will join us, talk some more football with him, college football and the Buccaneers. He was there in the press box with us on Monday night for that letdown. So we'll chat with Corey Long when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. Hey, if you're looking to get engaged, there's no place better to go than the Golden Diamond Source. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great local benefactors, philanthropists. So it's a great company that gives back to your own community, right? So why shop anywhere else? Plus, you get the best selection, the best prices, everything, and great customer service. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3400 Ulmerton Road. Always online at the Golden Diamond Source. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Get your insurance checkup now. You could save thousands of dollars, 813-877-7799. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Corey Long, who was in the press box Monday night at Raymond James Stadium for, well, it was a bit of a disappointment, I think, for a lot of the Buccaneer fans, but completely expected. How are you doing, Corey?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. Good.
Euro step. That's what we learned from Lane Johnson. That's what Corey was educating us.
Yes, the Euro step is now explained.
Euro step, yes, the Euro step. Very rarely used tactic, but it's effective.
So they're allowed to do this now. Account before the snap. left tackles are allowed to Euro step, and much like NBA, where you get an extra step with that. Yeah. So that's how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Euro step. Yeah, like I said, it's deep in the rule books. Deep in the rule books. Yeah.
We're trying to diversify. It's bring more people into the tent.
The front and the back of the rule books, but you got to dive into it to find the Euro step.
How do you like? Todd Bowles literally laughed out loud when asked about it on the call yesterday. We didn't play it, but I don't think I've ever heard a coach laugh that loud or that long about it, because clearly he was not enamored with that non-call.
And Lane Johnson is a large fellow, so it's not like he's really he's a large human being. So, like, you should be able to see him get completely up out of his stance while everybody else is still in their stance and the ball hasn't been snapped yet.
Yeah,
and already on a hinge when the ball gets snapped. And he's very talented too, so he doesn't really need the advantage.
No, he certainly does not. Hey, so, we just had Trevor Sikkema on. He said something I thought was really profound, and I want to get your take on this because I know you love the lineman plays as much as I do. He said, when you look at this Bucs team, it's closer to a rebuild than being in a winning window when you look at both sides of the trenches. And I hadn't really thought of it in terms of that, but 3 games in, and I look on both sides of the trenches, and I know you're coming off a game where you played, in my mind, the most elite offensive defensive line tandem in the league in the Eagles. But man, we looked overmatched on both sides. And I think he might be right.
Well, I mean, the Eagles are going to make 95% of the league look like they need to rebuild. I mean, it's just they really are. I mean, they're like, I mean, heck, the 49ers look like they needed to rebuild after they played the Eagles last year. I mean, it's just they're just that good, and they've just done that good of a job of drafting. It's just, I mean, it's not just finding diamonds in the rough. It's finding complete jackpots, and the undrafted scrap heap. It's incredible. So, but I mean, I don't think the offensive line, I don't think isn't great outside of Wirfs, who's tremendous. And the D line, obviously Vita Vea is he's a stalwart at times. Tryon shows you, he can do one thing pretty well. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an area that needs to be, they need to continue to work on. But more than anything is you faced, 2 teams that were struggling. One, the Vikings, that are not as good as people thought they might be, and then the Bears, who are absolutely even worse than people thought they might be. And, as I told somebody this week, you face some real dogs, and that's where you're going to find out where you are as a team when you face teams that are going to win. Philly's going to win 13, 14 games this year. So that, and if you want to compete with them, you have to be on a level where you're going to be in double-digit wins too. I don't know that Tampa's totally there. This is one of, this week coming up is an interesting week, a road game, a divisional game. With the Saints, there's a million different mini feuds happening out on the field. There's the Jameis, Devin White thing. God knows there's the Mike Evan, Marshawn Lattimore thing. There's a Chris Godwin, PJ Williams thing. There's there's just a million things happening out there. So this is the week where you kind of, these 2 teams, I think, are closer to evenly matched. So you get a better idea of where you are in the pack of the NFC, which is what I'm talking like fringe. Are you a fringe playoff contender team, or you're a notch below that? And that's where you find out these games against the Lions and the Saints are where you find that out. Is this team a fringe playoff team, or are they just not quite there? So the Philadelphia is top. Philadelphia, San Francisco, maybe Dallas, some weeks, Dallas occasionally are at the top. But, after that, you want to see, are you in that kind of that 5 to 7 range when it comes to getting in the playoffs?
Corey, where do you stand on Jason Light and his draft picks lately? Because we've been kind of talking about that. Logan Hall, JTS, Gedeke, the rookie mock. I mean, where do you stand on Jason Light and his draft picks?
I don't think they've been as much immediate hits as they were, a few picks ago when, he was kind of ran into a set where he was really just hitting on a lot of, hitting on some pretty solid picks over and over again. But some guy, some of these guys, it might take a year to develop. It might take, 2 years to develop, and we might still turn around and look and say, okay, Cansey was a good pick. Cody Monk was a good pick, but it might just take a little longer to develop than it would for some others. So you just have to, I think you have to give it. I honestly, you have to give it 2 years. At the 2 year part, you can see exactly. You get a good idea of whether or not these guys are going to work out like you want them to, or whether they're going to, whether maybe a kid like Josh Hayes turns out to be a 6th round, a late round, major contributor. He's doing okay on special teams, and maybe he turns into something a little bit more. So you just don't know. So I just think I always think it's too early to write off rookies and second-year guys when they haven't even gotten 20 games in the league yet. So let's so I always try to remind people, like, all these professional sports leagues, they're hard. Like, this stuff is hard. It's much harder than where they're coming from. So, sometimes it takes guys a little longer. Some guys don't have it. And you'll know after 2 years whether a guy has it or not, I think. Even if you don't, whether it's something worth building or if they just don't have it.
Corey Long joining us. One of the thoughts I had about this past game is that the young players, the draft picks, are going to do what they do in these games. The guys that are getting paid big money did not step up. Devin White had the worst game of his career, I thought. I don't know how injured he was, but if you're that injured, it's on Todd Bowles. Get him off the field. You can't step out of bounds in front of a quarterback when you're running for a pick six. I don't get that. And then I look at Shaquille Barrett. Matt Filer, Rashad White, and other guys had more tackles than Shaq Barrett did. He had 0-0-0 across the board. Of course, dropping him in coverage on 3rd and 10 is not a great idea either. So he was a non-factor. Mike Evans dropped 3 huge passes, 2 really big ones. One for a touchdown, one in a first down, could have been in the scoring area. A lot of these guys that get paid a lot of money did not step up in this game, and that's one of the. And Jamel Dean was awful. Carlton Davis
he wasn't getting taken out of the game with injury. He wasn't doing anything when he was in there. I just, this was, again, they faced some real dogs this week, and you find out who you got. You find out who was ready for this challenge. I mean, there was no excuse for them not to be prepared. They had an extra day to prep. They came out of the first 2 games pretty healthy. They knew this was in front of them. They knew what kind of challenge Philadelphia was going to present, and they very simply did not show up and beat it. And part of that, and a lot of that's on them, and their level just wasn't where it needed to be. And a lot of that is on Philadelphia, who brought it. I mean, they absolutely brought it especially on the lines. I mean, they brought it. And you got to be able to match that effort and match that challenge, and they just weren't able to do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move over to some college football. What'd you think of FSU's win at Clemson? How they played, and they dropped in the polls, as one of our commenters, James, was saying, which I really don't care about the polls at this point. Who gives a rip?
3 weeks and 4 weeks.
Who cares? But I thought it was a huge win. Didn't play their best football, but historically, that was a big freaking win for them.
Huge win. Here's my thing, and I was actually thinking about this before we got on a call. Who's to say they're not playing their best games? Like I think we might be overrating their best game quite a bit, because they had a nice stretch last year where they played a bunch of backup quarterbacks and like world beaters. But end of the stretch, Florida, you get Richardson, win by 7, 6-7 You get Oklahoma, who's without a lot of players in the bowl game, 6-7 you win by 3.
Yeah,
they might be a team that's just going to have to eke out a lot of close wins against more quality opposition. And it's funny because the schedule, sets up pretty well, because they miss a lot of their normal road traps, like Louisville, no NC State on there. But at the same time, Syracuse has a really athletic quarterback. I think he rushed for 200 yards in a game this year. Duke has, this Duke team is the best team they've had since Spurrier's been there probably. And they've got a potential first round kid at quarterback. Miami's going to have, they have a tremendous offensive line right now. They're very young, but they're going to come in there. They're going to try to play their game. Like, I think Florida's defense is going to present a lot of problems. Florida itself is kind of a week-to-week team, but I think they're a better team at home, and I think they're a pretty good team defensively. So, like, this is going to be we might be talking about this a lot more. That, man, they just they needed a late play here, they need a play there, because they might not just this ain't the 2013 Knowles where they're just going to steamroll over guys.
No. Yeah, you may be right. I thought it wasn't. I just think there's so much more in them. I think I look at the talent. There's some NFL talent on this team. And, clearly Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, if he stops dropping passes, looks a lot like Mike Evans. Exactly. Obviously Jared Verse, a couple of their offensive linemen. I think Fabian Lovett's an NFL guy. I think there's, a handful of NFL guys on this team. I think they should be better. And I don't think this coaching staff, and certainly not, I know you're not a big fan of Adam Fuller. I don't think they're getting the best out of this team right now.
I'll tell you this. I don't think defense was their problem Saturday. I think they, besides scoring a touchdown, I think that I think the offense didn't put them in a lot of great positions. True. And I think the one thing they're not giving up are big plays. Like you take away Maffa's, I think it was a 46-yard run. Yeah. They held them to 100 yards and 100 yards and like 40 carries. Like it was 2.5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. They did not give up any passing. Now, Clemson was running with some backups at receiver, but they had to kind of force FSU's hand to even open up the middle of the field a little bit. So I thought defensively they did okay. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like, they're not running the ball, and teams have decided that they're going to try to see. They're going to force them into. Well, I don't want Clemson to force them into a jump ball game. You know,
they did.
Keon Coleman's going to win a lot of those battles, but that's better than letting guys run free, and that's better than letting the running game open up. It's like because we still don't. Travis, he goes through periods of where he's just not accurate. He'll take some bad sacks. He's not running like he did before. He clearly is not. Either he's injured or he's just kind of saving himself.
Yeah, he's injured.
And you wonder about other guys. You wonder about the guys that came back. I mean, there's a lot of money invested in this team. Jared Verse, Lovett, Trey Benson. Those guys, bringing them guys back was not cheap at all. So, but, at the same time, you're Trey Benson. You come off a torn ACL. He's thinking, I got NFL money. You're Verse, who everybody tells him he's a top 10 pick, and
he ain't playing like it.
You might try not to get hurt. Patrick Payton, I think, is playing tremendously. I think Josh Farmer's playing very well. I think Braden Fisk is playing excellently. There's some areas that they're doing well. Tatum Bethune. I think there's some guys on that defense that are playing well, and they're not giving up anything big. But I'm also like, the close games might be their thing this year. And it just might be that they're going to be on the plus side of them as compared to, a couple of years ago when they weren't on the plus side of them. So, I'm not really quick to write it off as it being their C-plus game. It just might simply be the identity of this team is that they're going to have some tight ones and they're going to have some, that they're going to have to play 4 quarters.
Corey, what's your biggest concern with FSU's schedule? Is it Miami? Is it Duke? Is it North Carolina? Or is it Florida?
North Carolina isn't on their schedule, I don't believe.
Well, in the ACC championship game.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yes. Sorry about that.
I don't know if it could be Carolina, it could be Louisville, it could be they could play Miami again. Who would know what really can happen in the ACC? The biggest concern, I think. I'm probably mostly concerned with the Miami game. I think because I see, they've got a quarterback that can make the throws. They're really good up front. They're committed to playing the run. Like they're committed. The one thing that, Clemson did this week, even though they didn't get a lot of success with the run game, they broke off maybe one big run and a couple of late power runs, but they were not stopping. They ran the ball 41 times. They were going to. And I think Miami's line is much better than Clemson's line. So if they commit to the run, I think they could have a little more success. So Miami's there. I think the Duke game is a big concern because I think it's a very good team. I think the Syracuse game is going to be trickier than people think because I think the quarterback is going to give him a lot of problems if he's healthy because he can run, he can move around, he can make plays out of nothing. And the issue that FSU had against Castellanos was the scramble drills.
Big time.
I understand how this team struggles with scramble drills given their own quarterback, but they do.
And their athleticism on defense. I mean, the linebackers aren't the fastest, but they've got some athletes on defense that should be able to contain a mobile quarterback. Yeah, that's bizarre. All right, any other thoughts on the college football, what you saw over the weekend? It was a huge weekend. I mean, boy, Notre Dame blew a great opportunity to get a win over Ohio State.
Best weekend, best college football week since before COVID. Really, it was. It was amazing. Yeah. Like I was enthralled by so much. My favorite is Ryan. Yeah, you know what? Ryan Day, who's got his tough guy beard now. He didn't call out Marcus Freeman after the game. You notice that? He called out Lou Holtz. He ain't that tough. Tell me. He told me he ain't that tough.
86-year-old man.
Marcus Freeman, you shut your mouth. Then he's like, "Where's Lou Holtz at?" All right, yeah. I tell you, that's a tough guy.
Having 10 men on the field, though, man, in a situation like that, twice, I guess.
Well, somebody's got to know. There's some smart guys at Notre Dame. Someone's got to take the offside. Someone's got to just go encroachment and be like, "Hey, guys, we got 10 out here." You know. Big hole on the right. Like, we're not missing a safety. We're missing a lineman.
How surprised were you by Colorado and their dismantling of Oregon 42-6? And did you have a problem with Dan Lanning and his motivation for his team before the game?
No, I don't care. First of all, I don't think cameras should be allowed in pregame speeches. That's a time for the team and the coach to do their thing. Coach say whatever he needs to say to get his guys going. It clearly worked. I think it would have worked regardless. They were better, they were bigger, they were fat. We all knew this. And unfortunately, Deion didn't have his best player. So the secondary also got it. Travis J. Omari and Cooper, better suited for nickelback and type spots than they were out there being on the outside. So a lot of work to do. I mean, they'll, this week I think the USC game will be a little bit more fun because I think both teams can score. But I thought Oregon took it easy on them. Really,
yeah, it really did.
Hell, if Mike McDaniel was an Oregon coach, they just scored 172 points on him.
By the way, I watched that Dolphin game last night, the Dolphin-Broncos game. Holy shiz, that is the fastest team I think I've ever seen on a football field. They run tempo. And Tua wasn't getting –
They made the 2000 Rams look like Iowa.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Tua, nobody breathed on him, let alone touched him. They're going so fast. The other team, the Broncos were so tired, they couldn't even get close to him. And that ball's out in like 2.7 seconds. He is anticipating every throw. He is incredibly accurate. And A-Chain, dude, that guy can fly. Mostert can fly. Tyreek Hill can fly. They got one of the fastest white kids in Barrios. I mean, their center's fast. That team is quick.
I kept checking Twitter to see if Van Joseph had resigned at halftime or something. Where he's like, "Nah, I ain't going back out there. Y'all can go back out there. I ain't going back out there."
That game was actually closer than you thought because they scored. The Broncos scored to make it 21-14 with like 5 minutes left in the second quarter, but they called that back for a terrible offensive pass interference, and that was a terrible call. So that Broncos were actually in the game, but it just got weird after halftime. But that team is so fast. But they'll get beat. The Eagles, the 49ers will manhandle them, and it'll be different.
Yeah, everybody loses in the NFL. But I look at Mike McDaniel, and I'm like, that guy was bullied a lot when he was younger because he's taking it out on everybody. And to take it out on Sean Payton is good. That's a good.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
If there was ever a guy that deserved to lose 70-20, it's Sean Payton.
Well, it's definitely personal because he's a former ball boy for the Broncos and didn't even get an interview a couple years ago. So he was trying to stick it to the Broncos. You could see that.
I think he's going to try to stick it to a lot of teams, though. He looks like a guy that's just got a lot of pent up anger and just I finally got the horses around me that can help me execute all the payback I want.
Yeah, that team looks really good. No question about it. All right, Corey. And I know you got some Bolts responsibilities coming up as well, so I'll see you at the rink. They had their first preseason game last night. Alex got on the score sheet last night on a power play goal, so he might have a role with this team.
You'll see me next week because at 5:50 I am headed to Las Vegas for a long weekend. So
nice.
Putting some money on some games. It's good times. So I'll be back next week.
You got any best bets yet, or you yet to study the sheet?
I'm gonna study the sheet. Probably study the sheet on the plane. I actually printed out some stuff, so I got a long flight, so I'll study the sheet on the plane.
Send me some pics. Check your sheet.
Absolutely, we'll do.
Right, partner. We'll see you next week.
Our app opened up in Florida again. It's got to be coming soon, right?
What's that?
When are we getting our betting app reopened in Florida again? I heard it should be happening soon.
Yeah, it should be happening real soon because that court decision went down like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So some of us have an offshore one that we're using. If you need by the way, if y'all want to sign up, I can get you 500 free play anytime you want. Just hit me up, jp@thejppetersonshow.com. We'll get you $500 in free play with $500 deposited. How about that? You can't beat that.
I love that. That's a great deal. Can't beat that deal. 500.
When you sign up, I get 500. So everybody's happy. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. All right, partner. Have fun in Vegas.
All right, buddy.
I'll send you the link.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Who doesn't want $500 in free play?
I want $500 in free play.
Right,
I want that. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Have a good trip. Be safe. Hope you don't have a middle seat on Spirit. All right, we'll take a quick break. Yeah, he's a big man. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side and get into some of the other stuff. The Rays, we had talked a little bit about them. We'll get into, is Wander coming back? Could that possibly happen? There's some other NFL stuff on the docket as well. So quick break. We'll be back. American Mortgage Services. If you're looking for a refinance, you got some credit card debt that's piling up, we'll stop paying 29% when you can pay 5 or 6%, right? Get that refi loan and tap the equity you still have in your home. Scott Fitzgerald will make it happen for you with the lowest fees, the lowest rates. He'll shop it around for you. Just contact him, Scott@amstampa.com, Scott@amstampa.com. And don't forget, we're at the patio on Monday night, 5 to 7 o'clock. Anytime's a great time to head over to the patio to watch football games and the best happy hour, $1 off beer and wine all the time from 3 to 7:30 at the patio. Back in 3.
Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, Scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to Scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Hump Day Wednesday as the Bucks get set to take on your New Orleans Saints. We're brought to you by Extravaganza Productions. If you got a business meeting coming up or maybe a big birthday, you want to do a big old party or a charity event, Extravaganza Productions are the folks to call. Great creative folks over there. Call Dolly Brown or Paul Thomason. They will help you out. They'll give you a free creative session where you can tour their warehouse and see all their incredible props and things they can do over there. Great folks at Extravaganza Productions. Just go to their website, extravaganzaproductions.com. Contact them through there and have a great party. Let the pros handle it. Extravaganza Productions. All right, Peter Blake. We got
real quick. I put out a poll there because I'm trying to work. Well, yes. If the Tampa Bay Rays, Wander Franco was cleared of any wrongdoing, should the Rays welcome him back? 51 votes. I just put this out 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
Yes, 98% say they should welcome him back. 2% say no. So that will be up for the next 2 days here on the JP Peterson Show. So overwhelming right now. And again, there's no denying the talent. It's just the allegations are just, and you got to be careful on social media because when you just, post something about a story coming out, people go, well, you're passing judgment on me. You're already saying he's guilty. No, I'm just posting the story. Okay. He's been suspended.
Relax, people.
Right. Relax. And I think the good thing about this or the great thing about this is how many passionate Rays fans are really out there. And this is, come to fruition, if you will, with the Franco situation because everybody's coming out defending him. And there's a lot of Rays fans on Facebook. So when people say there's no baseball fans in the Tampa Bay area, that's hogwash. That's
ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Absolutely. So go ahead.
It's just interesting how, first of all, if they would welcome him back, at this time, it just seems like a foregone conclusion that no way,
Right.
But again, innocent until proven guilty. Last time I checked in this country, although I guess that's kind of gone by the wayside. All those old things like your First Amendment, Second Amendment, innocent until proven guilty.
Put that aside.
A bunch of old crustaceans, you old.
We don't offend anybody.
Father idiots that you are. My God, what are you doing?
What do they know, right?
Yeah. So we don't know what the hell happened. We have no idea. So if this investigation, which makes it even more weird, is it's in the Dominican. There's not a lot of news about it. I mean, if this were here in the United States and he was going through the investigatory process here in the United States, we'd be probably getting daily updates, right? Or something to the effect. We'd know a hell of a lot more about it, but we just don't.
Right.
So it's kind of a really weird deal. And we've kind of just forgotten about him, but he is the best player on the team. He is one of the top players in the league, and the Rays are going into the playoffs. This just in, And by the way, we had John Smoltz on Friday. Great interview. We've reposted it. I'll repost it again. And maybe we'll clip this out tomorrow just to play, Peter. The part where he talked about reseeding. I mean, you look at the baseball standings. The Rays have the second best record in the American League by far. Okay. Texas is leading the division with 88 wins. All right. The Rays have 96 wins. Minnesota's leading their division with 84 wins. The Rays have 96 wins. Did I mention that? These two teams are going to be seated ahead of the Rays. That's and in an era of balanced schedule, that's patently unfair. It's just unfair. So here we are. They're going to have this huge advantage. So who's going to be the second seeded team? Is it going to be Texas? Like Texas gets the bye, and the Rays may have 8 more wins than they have.
Yeah.
The Rays have 191. They're plus 191 in score differential. And Texas is plus 165, which is impressive, but they have 8 less wins. I mean, come on. If they were in the same division, Texas would be already eliminated in the same division. So you get penalized for being in the same division with Baltimore. So they could finish a game behind them, win 100 games, and Texas not even, finished, by the way, who they may have lost Corey Seager, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas is going to get the second seed. That's
ridiculous.
Doesn't sound right.
No, Rays have 96 wins. If they were in the AL Central, the Twins right now leading with 84 wins.
84 wins.
The Rays would win that division in the
by
AL
14
West,
games.
By 14 games, right. And the Rangers have 88 wins in that division. And, of course, the Rays would win that by how many? 96, 88. Yeah. You look at the National League, Braves, just the best team right now.
The best team in baseball.
Brewers have 88 in the NL Central, and the NL West, the Dodgers a little bit closer with 97. So 3 out of 4 divisions they would actually win with their record right now compared to the other teams. And you're exactly right. It's disappointing because they're in the AL East, the toughest division in baseball, and they're number 2 team. And most likely are the one of the best teams in the American League, but everybody's talking about Baltimore now. So,
yeah, and then you just say, and here's something from James. You said, with Glass now lately having bad starts, I'm concerned about them even winning one game of the postseason. Yeah, I mean, you just like I have no faith in this team going into the postseason, like none. Even though they have the second best record in the American League. Mm-hmm. A lot of that obviously was built up over the hot start, but this team right now, Eflin wins his 16th game last year to lead the American League. Yeah. But do I think he's a lights out starter in the postseason? No, I thought Glasnow was, but he's been average at best. Savali's been So those 3 guys that you hoped you were looking at going into it with McClanahan, Glasnow, and Eflin as your three horses. 2 months ago, and you're like, okay, bring on anything. Even with our, middling offense, you can make some noise with those guys in the postseason, right? And now you're going in with a Glasnow who's not pitched well lately, Eflin who's been good but not great, and then Savali, it's a coin flip. He's not a dominant pitcher. He's just not. So look, and in this offense without Brandon Lau, who is just getting hot, right? He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Siri's still on the shelf. Is he coming back? We don't know. And if he does come back, how good's he going to be? He hasn't played in a month, right? You're basing on your hopes on Jonathan Aranda, who got 3 hits last night. Manuel Margot getting hot. Rosarena and Yandy are both, they're nicked up. So how do you get excited about going into the playoffs with this team?
It's tough because, again, you have injuries to your pitching staff, you had injuries to key players, and you're also worried about Randy Rosarena and, how effective could he be? Because you want October Randy, you don't want the guy after the All-Star break who's swinging for the fences and, striking out. He's gotten a little bit better here over time, but he's already hurt. Some developments here. According to Christopher Cole, Cansey and Dennis were seen practicing today.
That's good.
According to Bucks Game Day, Kalijah Cansey Savasier Dennis and D. Delaney were all seen at practice this morning, and they're definitely going to need those players, especially Delaney, if Dean and Carlton Davis. I mean, listen, if both of those players don't play in your secondary, how confident are you against the Saints?
Well, listen, D. Delaney at least catches the ball when it's thrown to him.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Jamel Dean has, Jamel is a freak athlete, but he's not a great football player.
Yeah.
I think we completely overpaid for him. And Carlton's got to get on the damn field. And, that defensive performance was not good. But Vita Vea has a pectoral issue. He was getting blown off the football. He rarely does. So he's playing with one arm. And you got a bunch of other guys up front that aren't really doing much.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, Shaq Barrett, we love him to death, but he played 57% of the snaps on defense and got bageled. Nothing. No tackles, no assists, no caused fumbles, no snags, no nothing. He was MIA, as was Vita Vea, as was the worst game of the season for Devin White. So these guys got a lot of bouncing back to do against New Orleans this weekend. If anybody's going to get them up for a game, it's the Saints. So we shall see. All right. Our thanks to Corey Long today, Trevor Sikkema, Leo Haggerty, Peter Blake. Great job.
Thank you.
Tell all your friends about the show. 2 hours each and every day, all Tampa Bay sports centric. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Don't forget to download our new app, FanStream Sports. Download the new one so you can get the show played on your app. And, of course, fanstreamsports.com to our website all the time. And if you want to get that betting account, folks, just hit me up, JP at the JPPetersonShow.com. We'll get free $500 free play with $500 deposited. JP at the JPPetersonShow.com. Have a great day, everybody. See you.